Hi everyone, still not sure if stream is live. Wait a couple of minutes and then we'll double check that everything is working. Okay, let's see. Okay, I think, yeah, I also hear the sound, so it seems everything is fine. We'll wait a couple of minutes here because I was trying to build something. Okay, yeah, my awesome AR app. We'll start in a bit. Just preparing everything for my stream. For AR is like I have so much things wired up here, and OBS is kind of eating a lot of RAM. So yeah, let's just wait. Probably it will take time. So yeah, just like while it's building, let's talk a little bit with the presentation and stuff, and then we will dive in, and I will show you how to build AR stuff. One thing, if you're based in US, you're really interested, or if you go to Chain React conference, I will do the actual workshop building AR app with React Native and GraphQL and everything. So it will be a Chain React. So just double check like the website, tickets, and stuff like that. So today I will talk a little bit about history of AR. We'll start building stuff. I'm not sure. We have 2 hours time here. I'm not sure if it will be enough. If not, we'll continue on the next stream, or I will just walk through the code. We will see how it goes. So yeah, just before we go into the code and everything, we will talk about AR in general, and yeah, about myself. You probably already know, but if not, I'm developer advocate Hasura, developer expert, author, and consultant. Well, all of these fields, and yeah, it's Reality 2.0 version we will talk about, augmented reality, and a little bit like how everything how everything started with this weird device, which is usually like when I present this this slide deck, it's kind of hilarious thing because this thing is called Sword of Damocles, and it was sort of AR headset in 60s, and if that stuff falls on you, you probably would die because it weighs for like 4 tons or so. So yeah, it was pretty funny. Just a second, I'm just checking. I have chat open so I can see if there are any questions or stuff like that. Just a second. Yeah, sorry for the delays. Just want to be sure I have everything set up correctly, and if you have questions and stuff like that, you can ask them for sure. Cool. So yeah, this was a Sword of Damocles, and this was yeah, that weird device. Then there was this Sensorama machine when people put their heads inside and they just got this VR. This was more of VR content. This was pretty unique. So the idea was the camera here and camera here, and sorry, like monitors here, and they were connected to cameras that were transmitting from like a robot of sorts, and it was like syncing to video feeds because like rendering technology was still not there. And there was Google Glass, which you're probably aware of, and yeah, Microsoft HoloLens. If you haven't seen their ads are amazing. Device is pretty solid actually. It gives you really good like rendering and performance, battery life. But the problem is the field of view is really tiny. So for me, and for a bunch of people that I know, it's kind of problematic because, you know, like you see AR content and you just move your head and yeah, everything just got out of view. So I think they improved it in 10 degrees, but so it's a larger window right now, but I mean, still not there. We have bunch of like content in phones and in a sense, when ARKit and ARCore went out, it was kind of revolutionizing the market because you don't have this problem of field of view anymore because you already know you like inside this device, and I mean you don't expect the screen to extend from the boundary of the device, right? So yeah, and we have a bunch of these toys and Pokemon, of course, and a bunch of other games. And yeah, at some point, we just forgot what our parents told us about like not sitting near monitors, and now we stick them on our faces in a way. But I mean, we're still healthy, I guess. And like the augmented reality is not something for just like enhancing your world or maybe just making things better. It's more of a tool, right? It helps you with giving more information about stuff, giving you like not only gimmicky apps and content and stuff, but more of like the visual aids in a sense. And like enough of all these like lecturing and stuff. Let's talk about how we actually can create this content. Because I mean, this is live coding stream, so we won't be like there won't be like a just presentation that's like appropriate for the conf. Here we'll just live code things. So how you can create AR apps? You can do it with Unity, Unreal, which is the gaming engines. Before is pretty nice engine. It gives you like markers and stuff like that. And Vero, and today we'll be talking about how you can create AR app with Vero and Hasura. I mean, we're on Hasura Streams, so and we're talking about the GraphQL, so it's a logical choice, right? And we will see actually how Hasura simplifies all these like really hard AR apps, making way better. And yeah, we will be doing this in React Native. So Vero has a bunch of cool stuff like 3D tracking, surface detection, stuff like that. And to see it in action, actually, there are two things that I will show you. One is like an app that I have here. And if I click on AR, this is like my room, and I have Hello World here, and like my Twitter and stuff. And yeah, this is like in the real world, right? So this is one thing, and the other thing that I want to show you is the actual app that we will we'll start creating. Maybe we'll create everything. I don't know. Like let's see. And I think it's this one. So the idea is we have a bunch of markers. Now in AR, there is a concept of marker, which is more of like a visual. It's like an image or an object that camera can scan and present 3D content on top of this object or marker or whatever. So what I will have here, I will have, let's say, I'm not sure about the lights, but let's see. Yeah, and we have here the content. This content is basically brought to AR world, and this one is from it's brought from the database, basically from GraphQL API. So it's not hard coded, and we will see how you can do that. Actually, you will see how you can do subscriptions and stuff like that. Now, in addition to that, there is a concept of portals where you will just scan the surface and create a portal. Now, you can look inside the portal. It will be kind of hard to show, but I will try. So if I look back, you see that this is like the 3D world, and I can look beyond the frame, and it's me sitting near a monitor. So it's kind of, yeah, this is also a cool concept. We'll see today how to create all of this, and we will do it with iOS. You obviously can do it also with Android. So let's continue and see how to get started. So to get started, basically go to Vero. We have two things here. We have client and we have server, right? On server, we will basically run Hasura engine that will auto-generate GraphQL API for us. And I have this example here. This is the app. So basically, you go to hasura.io and you just click on get started with Heroku. You can obviously instead you can just run things in Docker and run it locally, or basically run it on any platform that you want. And let's assume we click on that. We created this Hackathon AR app, and if we open our app, we have the console, right? So here we have things for the app that I already showed you, but we will create this ourselves. And let's just get started from scratch, and then we'll start let's start with AR at first, and then we will add the data, right? So we will go to quick start to Vero React, and we will start with instructions. Basically, the main idea is just to run Vero CLI and to install Vero CLI, and then just to init our awesome app. I already done that because it takes a little bit of time. So it's called my awesome AR app. Now for quick start, I did something a bit differently here. So for quick start, it says you just init this app and you just install it and you npm start it. So what will happen, you will get the ngrok URL, and you will have the testbed app provided by Vero. So it's sort of like an expo thing, and gives you an ability to enter your ngrok URL and load everything. So I went a little bit further because I want to see it on my device without testbed app, because I mean I'm streaming things on OBS and my RAM is still skyrocketing. I'm not sure about so it will be way slower if I would show you on testbed app. So I prefer to show on the actual device with like not through testbed app, but like directly. So for that, basically I need to run this script, setup IDE.sh. It exists here. So if I run that, it will ask me which platform I want to configure, and I already ran iOS. So what it did, it installed a bunch of things. Let me see. where it was. I think it's way beyond there. And it doesn't show. So the install just downloads a bunch of stuff and installs a bunch of dependencies, including bunch of stuff from AWS for some reason. I don't know why, but that's how they set up things. So in the end, I will run this open workspace. So I ran open workspace, and what I got is this is my awesome AR app in Xcode. So first thing that I did is signed it with my team and sign it for tests. If you don't do that, and if you don't have Apple developer account, so you will fail here in running it directly. You won't fail though through testbed app. So if you don't have Apple developer account, go for it. Just run it in testbed app, and it will simply work there. It will be a little bit slower though, and you have to be on the same network. I think you have to be on the same network anyways. So what it got generated for me is this. It's just simple hello world example. So here I have my app, and in my app I have to enter an API key. Now API key I get from Vero. In quick start we can see it. So they have platform key. Not sure why, but they have it. So you need to add this API key, and then everything will work. And they have two scenes. One is AR scene, the other one is VR scene. We already don't need this VR scene. We can delete. We will actually in a bit delete everything from here. So and you've seen those two buttons on the screen, VR and AR. You can switch between them. VR also supports VR, and it works with the ARKit and AR core under the hood anyway, so don't need to worry about performance much. They still have their own rendering, but I'm not sure about the exact details. So the important part is here. So you can see that let's just go into our render function somewhere. Yeah. So we show get experience selector, and if we change our state to VR, then we show get VR navigator. Otherwise, we show a VR navigator. Otherwise, we show AR navigator. So what's important for us is get AR navigator, and here we have this important part. So what's happening here is every AR scene will be inside Vero AR scene navigator with initial scene provided. Now inside we will see the camera and all the effects, and like if you want to render 3D models and stuff like that, we can do so. By the way, if we are speaking about 3D models, so let me show you a different example. And actually, if you Google, if you search for AR monster hashtag on Twitter, you will get this monster that I showed at a bunch of different conferences. And it's like this guy. So as you can see, you can render 3D content with animations and everything. It's pretty huge though, because like, yeah, and you can scale it. I haven't added the scaling mechanism here, but yeah, just trust me, you can. So, how you do create stuff? You wrap things within the Vero AR Navigator, and then in the initial AR scene, in initial AR scene. What was that? Hello world scene AR. And inside what you have Vero AR scene. This is a wrapper and has tracking updated and all these functions. And inside we have a Vero text. You can scale text. Units are meters basically, so it's half a meter. You can scale text. You can position them like X, Y, and Z axis, where minus Z is in front of you, and yeah, so minus Y is like down, and minus X is left. So you still need to kind of calculate this in 3D world, but yeah, with text it's pretty simple because you just like put it a couple of meters in front of you, and you have this component that's called Vero Flex View, and it will give you like Flexbox alignment and everything, which is pretty cool. So just a second, just double checking the stream health. Yeah, cool. So yeah, this is like the basic AR scene, and let's actually start creating stuff here. So we will start with a couple of things. Just a second. So let's go to our app.js, and basically what we will do, we will need to create our proper navigator, and we actually, what we will do, we will just remove all of this, and because we want just React Native, and we will do AR scenes later on, because remember this app with list of markers, so we want this list of markers, and then we want to, when you click on each marker, we want to go into this like AR scene, right? So let's start with basically, for some reason, my phone thought I'm saying Siri. Just a second. I'm not sure if I should leave it as JS or maybe switch to source. What do you think? I think I will just leave it. Or maybe not. Okay, let's just leave it as JS. So what we will do is, we also need a bunch of resources actually. But yeah, let's just remove those. Let's just start removing stuff, and let's go up.js, just empty this stuff, and that's it. So what we will do now in our app.js, we will what was its name? The name of the Vero sample, yeah, just don't need those. Oh, sorry. Let's remove those. Don't need any styles here. Okay. Let's start with Vero sample. Let's actually call it our app screen. And I will be copy pasting stuff because honestly we don't have lots of time to write everything. And but I won't copy paste everything, so don't worry. So what we will need here, we will obviously need some kind of root navigator. that will create, and we'll pass client. Yeah, let's just leave it as root navigator. Something like that. So now our root navigator will be from, let's import also React and import root navigator from JS navigation root navigator. Now we will create that in a bit. Actually, we'll create it now. Let's add navigation folder. And in our navigation folder, we will create our root navigator. It's a file, right? Okay, so our root navigator will be something like this. Let's import actually, you know what, like I'm thinking if I will just write everything down, it will be several hours of just typing. So what we can do, and yeah, please answer in chat what you would prefer. What we can do, we can walk through the code here in the app that I showed you, and go like through the code, and we'll see what stuff does what, and we will actually create the whole GraphQL from scratch. So we will leave the client because there is styling and stuff like that. So what do you think? Just reply in Twitch chat and let me know what would you prefer. Meanwhile, I'll type this down. So, no replies, right? I think then I will just go through the code, explain the code, and then just a second. Sorry about that. Just a second. Yeah, let's just go through the code. I will explain the code, and then we will create our app from scratch. Or actually, what we'll do, I'll just copy paste stuff, and then I will explain. So let's start with just a second. Okay, so let's start with installing a bunch of dependencies, and yeah, I think I will just copy paste things, but you will see the whole process. That will be better. Okay. Permission denied. What's happening with my VS Code? So, hey, hey Siri. I told you my my phone is a little bit He has life of his own. Okay, it looks like I cannot find. Here's my console. Nice. So let's add React navigation, and yeah, let's just add this for now, and start with root navigator. And I will just copy paste a bunch of code, and you will see what's going on. Okay, so we have switch navigator stack, bottom tab, and app container, and we have a bunch of screens. So obviously we will need screens folder, and inside we will have, not sure if I should have signing. Let's just remove signing, and remove auth stack, loading screen, just start with app stack. And yeah, so what's happening here? I have home, AR screen, auth loading screen, upload, I don't need upload, and portals list. Remember that list with the like list of portals? I basically had one that I clicked, and I showed you the portal thing. So offloading we also don't need. So basically we will have 3 screens: home, AR screen, portal screen, and these will be 2 different screens. Will actually be the same screen. And yeah, our switch navigator, we won't need that, but yeah, let's just create it. Yeah, at some point I'll have upload, but yeah, and initial route name will be, wait, what was that? Was auth loading? Yeah, let's just be up, and that's it. So what it will give me basically my app stack and 2 bottom navigators. So let's go and create the screens. Let's create home, and let's create what was that? AR screen, and we'll create what was that there? Portals list, right? So far so good. I will just copy paste a bunch of styles actually. So for styles, I will add a new folder, styles, and just paste stuff here. Can I do that? Yeah, I can, but for some reason it pasted twice. Okay, cool. So I will have styles, and I also need resources. I will probably use this for portal actually, but yeah, I basically have my avatar, business card, spinner. This is a wooden frame for the portal. It's normal map, which is like a bumpness, stuff like that. I think it's specularity, yeah. VRX, which is a specific extension for FBX models parsed through Vero specific specific script. So basically a binary, and yeah, just a GIF. Okay, so we have AR screens, home screen. Let's go to home screen and create that. So actually, let's also add index and export stuff from home, AR screen, and portals list. For now, also have wait, I think I'm wrong here. Portals list. Yeah, it's fine. Okay. So let's start with home, and my home will be just it's portals list, and it will be just a view. Portals list, and let's just put the same for home, and the same for AR screen for now, just to see it works. And actually, let me switch that for class for now. And portals list and AR screen. And obviously we are forgetting our render method, which will just return view that we will import from React Native, obviously. And this will be AR screen. And home will be home, and portals list will be portals list. Okay, fine. Now let's actually wrap it into safe area view, because I will be on iPhone XS, so what's happening with this keyboard? I have to switch my keyboard. Okay. AR screen also the same, and sort of. And styles I have to bring from just a second. Okay, I will just copy paste the styles for home. Will be this. And I also need to bring spacing and common styles. Okay, now what we'll have here, that's actually taking too much time to create all of this, so I think let's just go through the code maybe. But not sure. Okay, let's just go through the code and I'll just show you the same thing, because yeah, it just takes too much time to create all of this. So let's start with app.js. And I mean this is, you can create this in like 3 hours or so, but we don't have this amount of time here. But I think it will be still beneficial to just walk through the code. Yeah. And let me know, by the way, if you want to... so I had this idea of doing streams where I will have this app that I will build in, let's say, 3 to 4 streams or so. And it will be just like not only explaining the concept, but just like building stuff gradually. If you want to like see this type of content, please tell me, and I will do this in the future. But today, I mean, we have only 2 hours, so what we will, I will just explain what's going on here. So if we go to our index, we have Vero sample and AR demo app already seen that. Now our app.js had this root navigator already seen. I start to create that. And here I have the Apollo provider. Now, if you're not familiar with GraphQL, because I will be using here lots of it. Now, there is really cool resource. And if you just go to learn.hasura.io, and I will also share this in chat. If you go here, you will have a bunch of tutorials how to consume GraphQL API from different like frameworks on mobile, and how to create GraphQL API with Hasura. So we will see briefly today how it can be done if you're not familiar with this yet. And I will show you how it can change your AR experience in general. So, so what we have here in our app.js, basically what we need to do, we need to set up our Apollo provider and set up our Apollo client. And before we go into that, let me show you the AR app we created and what it has here. And actually this one it will be pretty fast to recreate, so let's just do that and create everything from scratch. It will be way faster than just typing all the code. And okay, I will start with the Hasura on Heroku, just basic setup, and let's call it AR demo stream. Yeah. Okay, let's deploy this app. And what you will get here is this one. Okay, just a second. Let's just reload that. Okay, there was some kind of problem with Heroku. let's see. Okay. Yeah. That's pretty weird actually. Let's see what's going on with it. Sometimes happens with my streams. That's weird. Okay. Live debugging. Postgres is there. Okay. Weird. Let's go to docs, and it might be the console which is disabled. And let's search for it's maybe it's, I think if I remember correctly, it's Hasura show console, something like that. It might be here in the Docker. Yeah, this one. Interesting. Let's see what's going on with this one. It's funny, it's troubleshooting now, not AR, but Heroku thing. Okay, something weird is going on with Heroku actually, because it's supposed to be there, and as you can see, we have the no such app from Heroku, which is pretty weird, something to troubleshoot. So let's hopefully it will be fixed soon, but let's then look at our Heroku app already created, and if you try to play around with it and you get started with Heroku free tier and you have the same problem, you can always click on Docker and you can get started with Docker. So we won't do it now, but there are plenty of streams we've done with that, and you can totally do that. So where was that? Yeah. So in our API Explorer, so what we have here, we have markers, and this is a list of markers with ID, key, and stuff like that. And like marker image, what text we want to present, a physical width. Now this is important, we will see it in the code in a bit, and we have several markers which are 3D or not 3D. Now you can see that there is a connection here and to model and to users. And basically to create these connections, what you can do is go to modify and set foreign keys. Whenever you set foreign keys, you have an ability to add relationship. As you can see here, we have object relationship to a model, object relationship to a user. Now for our models, we have several things. We have the URL, we have the scale, scale object. And this is important because sometimes you load objects and they're like huge and some are small and you need to scale everything properly, right? And this is connected to resources. Now resources is coming from model resources. Now these will be different textures that we will load. And all of these will make more sense when we'll look at the code in a bit. And we also have users because in the example that I showed you, I have the like the sign-in screen, pretty simple sign-in screen and everything. And if you're interested in auth, I had different stream on auth, and I had actually blog post about auth, so you're free to check this out. Okay, so let's take a look at the code and how we use these resources and how we start stuff. So we have GraphQL endpoint, and GraphQL endpoint will be from over here. And this example was released when Hasura was alpha. Hasura is not alpha anymore, so this was from, I think, February or something. So this is like an older version. Now Hasura is not alpha anymore, so no need to worry. And actually, there are, if you're interested who uses Hasura, there are use cases here, so you can just either schedule a demo, look at the companies that use and stuff like that. Okay, so in the code, so you have the GraphQL endpoint, and now what you need to do, you need to create your Apollo client. Now our Apollo client will have WebSockets connection and will have HTTP link connection. Now in React Native, we have polyfills for both like XHR request and WebSockets. So that's why we can use like anything that is that works also for the web. And we define our HTTP link, and we define our link split function. Now split function will check what operation, GraphQL operation is called, and if it's subscription, it will return WebSocket link, and otherwise it will be HTTP link. What it will mean? It will mean that only subscriptions will run through WebSockets, other things will run through HTTP. And we'll create our client, we will have in-memory cache, and yeah, so what we do, we wrap everything in Apollo provider so we can use later on stuff for subscriptions, and basically Apollo provider puts our client on context. Now our root navigator that we already seen basically have several things, has markers, portals, auth stack. In this example, it has auth stack, and I will share with you repo with this code later on, like in the end of the session. But what you have here, you have auth loading screen and like simple auth screen. So you're welcome to check this. Nothing to do with GraphQL, nothing to do with AR, anything, just like simple auth. And when you authenticate, when you're signing, you basically go to home. Home will have these list of markers. And actually, let me just open this up so you will see what I'm talking about. And just a second, that was my Twitter. It's this one. Yeah, so this is basically the, let me just move this around. This will be basically home screen. Now what home screen does, it loads a bunch of markers from Hasura, and to fetch them, actually it's a subscription. So if you change any of these markers, that they will update, and you can see it has an ID, it's 3D, it's for this tiny icon here, and physical width. Now this is important. Why we put physical width also in models and also in markers. Sorry, we had like scale, we have physical width. Now scale will be for our 3D models. Physical width will be for markers, because when I load this marker on the screen, I need to know like what size of this image. That's how ARGit works. So I need to provide the actual width of this marker in meters. So it's like 001, I think. And then we'll have a user and bottom bar and all of the data that will be just sent as props down to our AR screen. Now to have this subscription here, we will have subscription component and a render prop here. We're loading error and data, and what's important here is the data part. So we'll have a flat list that will load marker item. Now marker item will have this Navigator AR, and basically this is just touchable opacity, and when you click on that it will call this function. So this function will just navigate to AR screen and will pass an item. Now here is where our sort of magic happens. So in our render function in the AR screen, we get the AR view and we'll have go back button. So far it was just React Native, right? So to get AR view, we need to get our Vero ARC navigator. Remember the one that was created for you at the beginning when we created the app? So we pass an API key and the number of tracked images. So we can track up to 5 markers at the same time, I believe, something like that. So yeah, so you can do that, but if you need more, you can just spawn lots of these navigators. Haven't tried that though, more than 5, but supposed to work. Now for initial screen, I pass different types. I pass the screen type. Now my screen type will be portal or AR portal screen, and this is done for switching between portal screen and the marker screen, because AR will be the same. AR screen will be the same. Lots of things like the physics and like the physical world and rendering will be the same. So we don't need additional component for that. We will have the same component. We'll just render different things. And our screen will be either marker or portal screen, right? If like the screen type changes. So portal screen will be pretty simple one. It will also have subscriptions, and this subscription will fetch portals. Portals, for every portal we will have the portal ID, and basically I don't know why I put this specific one, but yeah, I guess I have only one. But yeah, this is supposed to be just a list of portals. Sorry, not the list of portals, but the actual the actual ID that is passed, like portal ID. So it's supposed to be like that. And what's happening here is I fetch portals. I also have loading, error, and data, and this is where the magic starts. First of all, we have Vero AR plane selector, and this is for selecting the surface. So if we look at the app, if we click on portals and click on the portal itself, if we click on that, this is the portal that is loaded, right? So again, let's just go back. If I click on that, I will be inside Vero AR screen, Vero AR scene, sorry. And this is where the portal, the get AR screen, where the portal will load. Now, this will happen over here. You can notice there's Directional Light and there is AR screen wrapper. We'll talk in a bit about that, but the whole magic of the portal happens there. So Vero AR plane selector, drag type fix to world, meaning like plane selector will give me an ability to select this gray surface. When I click on that, portal is loaded, but I can now drag it around, and this is basically this drag type fixed distance. And on drag, I can put my own stuff here, callbacks and stuff like that. Now the portal is a wrapping object, and inside I'll have two things. First of all, 3D object. This is for the frame, for this frame. And for the 3D object, I will have, I will send bunch of resources as source. I will send like VRX, meaning like FBX model, and for resources there will be bunch of textures. Now these ones will be from resources and not from GraphQL, because there is no reason to do so, but the portal itself will be from GraphQL. So 360 image, and this is the image inside, will be from portal media 360. Now let me double check something. So I have the I'm just trying to find different image, and it's kind of tricky because my hands are like that because I'm holding the phone and trying to log in to my AWS account on different screen, because I don't want to do this on the screen, like I don't want to enclose my passwords on the screen on the stream. Just a second. So the idea is, well, I'm logging in. Okay, just a second. I already logged in. So where was that? I think this one. Okay, I found the image. Let me share it with you. So the image is this one. And this is Hawaii. And I want to load that as my portal. Now, because we're talking about subscriptions, we will see everything updated on the fly. Let's actually see that. So this is my portal inside. Now what I will do, I'll go to my data, portals, and here is 360 image that I have. Now inside of it, I will put just a second. What was that? Okay, and I will save that. Now what will happen, it will take time to load because it's a big image, but yeah, it was actually pretty fast. So as you can see, because of subscriptions, stuff changed immediately. And if I bring it back, everything is changed back to the grid. So this is how subscriptions work, and this is what we've seen here in subscription component, and this is why we are using that, because we want our portal to update whenever we have changes, right? So now I told you that we will get back to AR scene and directional light. Now AR scene will have the whole physics calculations and camera and tracking updated functions, which will fire when you start your scene, or maybe if you lose tracking because of light conditions and stuff like that. Directional light is like a sun. So if you have 3D model, you have to put some kind of light. And directional light basically creates shadows, so you can have a bunch of properties to create these shadows. As you can see, if there is a tracking, then it's actually other way around. So if there is no tracking, there is get no tracking UI, otherwise get AR scene. So this is what's happening with portals, with creation of the portal. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward GraphQL stuff, but with plenty of AR content inside. So you do need to calculate all these like vectors and all these coordinate systems and stuff like that. But it's pretty straightforward. So instead of just using views and text, you just use these. Now then, another screen that we had is marker screen, right? So the marker screen, actually let's get back to our navigator and we'll see. Okay, so we had portals. Well, we already explained portals. Now the thing that we need to create is basically the markers, right? So have AR screen. Let's go to AR screen, and it was I was right. It was marker screen over here. Now marker screen will also have a subscriptions to fetch these markers, and it will get name, last name, and different stuff. Now it will do a couple of things. When you have component did mount, you need to create, basically for markers, you need to create a target. And you can do so, usually in examples you will see this is done once and that's it, but because we have different markers each time, we will do this on component did mount whenever we go inside every screen. And we will have the source, we'll have orientation, it will be always up, and we'll have physical width that will be passed from the marker item. Now the marker item, let's go to render function. And render function also will have AR scene, directional light. So basically I can take all of these actually and put in a separate component. So get AR scene is where the magic happens. So we have Vero node, and Vero node is like a view. It's like a wrapping node in AR world that you can position wherever you like. So I can just pass position and pass like 1, 1, 1, and it will be 1 meter, 1 meter right, 1 meter up, and 1 meter behind me. Remember, if you want in front of me, we put -1. And this is more for grouping stuff, like doing better layouting, I guess. Now we have AR image marker, which is the one that contributes for our marker finding. And we pass a target. This target will be a string. This string is defined here when you create these targets. That's why it's important to create this on component mount. Now, when it's created, we have this anchor found. If it's found, then we set state to run animation true, because every Vero node, every basically AR element can have animations. The animations are done in a way just passing a name and a run function, true. Whenever it's true, animation will run. That's like really simple animations. And so what will happen when you have this marker, you will have these sliding out components that we've seen in the app. We also have Vero Flex View with rotations, height, width, styles, and stuff like that. Images, text, and basically you can put your 2D UI pretty easily. Even animated images with the GIF and stuff. And yeah, that's how it's done. Now Vero Quad will show you the shadow. So it will be just a really simple like 2D quad on the surface, like on the floor, and will reflect the shadow of any 3D model or anything. Yeah, only 3D model. Yeah, so that's the whole magic, right? So you basically have here subscriptions, you have GraphQL here, and the main reason for me doing these like demos and presentation and explaining how you can do AR with React Native is because there are lots of demos showing how to do stuff which is more of hard-coded. Like here in the source, you'll have a resources folder, you'll have a bunch of wooden frames, 3D models, stuff like that. But what happens with like big apps, right? Well, we need to get data from somewhere, so we get it from GraphQL. But how it can be done? So this is how it can be done. And obviously, this app is just like a simple example. It can be changed. It basically can be optimized to a degree. We can use React hooks here. We can remove classes. We can optimize it further. It's more of like a demo app. And I encourage you to play around with it. And if you, just like open pull requests, and if you want to optimize that, we'll gladly review pull requests and stuff like that. So let's get back to our presentation. And what we will do now, I will just go step by step what we've done and what we've seen in the code, and then I will leave several minutes for questions if you have. I will pretty soon create sort of like ask me anything on GitHub, and well, just follow me on Twitter. I will update you when it will be ready, and then I will stream on maybe bi-weekly basis different like ask me anything streams. So back to the topic. So we the basic anatomy of the app already seen. This was Vero AR scene navigator, which holds AR scene, and inside we have AR scene, which is responsible for the camera rendering and basically connecting to ARKit and AR core and the engine and everything. Ambient light, there is one type of light that we haven't covered here. Ambient light is a light that gives you color in the scene. So it's not like a sun, it's just a light encompassing the whole scene. It will give you, like, let's say you want to give a tint to your, like, every model in your scene. You probably will use Vero ambient light. Now, directional light will be like a sun. Like in this example, sun is right above me because actually it's not really. Sorry, it's above me and it's shining down. So -1, it's shining. It's like 12 o'clock sun. And we have shadows of orthographic position and orthographic size. Honestly, it's kind of hard to explain without looking at the actual explanation of Vero website. So they have it there, and there are shadow near and far and influence bitmask and lots of stuff. So check this out. Now spotlight is pretty self-descriptive. Is just a spotlight shining in one direction. I can cast shadow. Text is for text. Plane selector already seen. That was that gray surface that we clicked on and the portal appeared. Now Vero AR plane. This is something we have covered. So AR plane is like we had AR plane selector, right? So AR plane selector is actually a helper for Vero AR plane. And here in whenever our plane is selected, we have some kind of anchor. So we can set a plane and we can say this is the actual anchor, and inside like on this spot that will be stuff rendered. And inside we have a node and a drag type already talked about, and 3D object. Now 3D object, I haven't seen it. 3D object is and this is for a monster example I showed you. So 3D object can accept VRX models, OBJ models, and GLTF models. Now, important part, VRX models cannot be passed through, they have to be local on device. So you can pass them through network, which is shame, to be honest, but what you can do with them is you can just load bunch of models on your phone, and then you can just switch between them using IDs, or you can pass OBJ, which is pretty fine, and it's pretty decent model quality. You can even enable physics-based rendering, and yeah, and you pass a bunch of textures. Now, when this monster is loaded, what's happening here is it's from another repo example. So what's happening here, I reset an anchor, AR selector anchor, and then it means that I can click on selector surface again. I pass a scale, type, and animations. Now VRX can support skeletal animations. You have to pass a name, run if it's a loop or if it's a delay. And quad, I already told you, it's for the shadow. And we also can create materials, and we can go more beyond just basic materials. We can go into really heavy, like physics-based rendering stuff. Yeah, and all these materials, as you've seen, can be loaded from like using Hasura, using GraphQL. So yeah, this is like slides explaining what is GraphQL and what Hasura is. So if you're not familiar with Hasura, just in a nutshell, can be deployed everywhere. It's compatible with auth. Can run on top of new and existing Postgres, supports add-ons, auto-generates APIs. It has a CLI. By the way, we had a stream about CLI migrations and running CI and stuff like that, so check this out on our YouTube channel. And you can write custom SQL, which can be tracked and can auto-generate GraphQL, which is pretty cool. There are configurable access controls for data. I had a stream about that, I think, several weeks ago. You can connect it to your own GraphQL server and do schema stitching. I actually will be doing the access control stream this week on Thursday with Jason from Gatsby. We'll be doing like authentication and access control. It will be hosted here on Hasura Streams, and will be on Jason Twitch channel. It's at 11. It will be at 11 a. No, I think 9 a.m. PST. Yeah, 9 a.m. PST on Thursday. So Hasura also has a venting system that enables you to trigger serverless functions. And yeah, you start like that. It's supposed to work. I'm not sure why it didn't work today. I will double check that. And what was here? Yeah, this was the markers I already showed you. So if you're not familiar with Hasura again, so we have data, graphical tab, data tab. Remote schemas is for custom resolvers or connecting to your own GraphQL server. Events for triggering serverless functions. So yeah, and we have bunch of data, bunch of code that I already showed you. Now, to conclude this stream, I had some issues during this stream, so sorry about that, but I think you got the idea that you can create really cool AR apps with that, with GraphQL, with Hasura, and you can do like location-based AR, you can create games. Actually, there is a game that I created, it's like a Tetris game, and there will be a repo in the end that you can check. This is, yeah. And you can create retail apps, indoor navigation tools, visual assistants, travel, lots of stuff. But for games, for an instance, if you have lots of like particle effects, stuff like that, you will probably use, instead of using Vero, you'll probably use Unity or something. And yeah. And much more. And if you want to learn about GraphQL, I already told you there is this Learn Hasura.io resource, and resources are here. We have like I have data-driven AR demo, AR monster demo, and this one is a Tetris that yeah, there was also a blog post about that, so you can read about how it can be done, and it explains like the code and everything. So it's pretty long blog post, and in the end I think there is also building AR game in React Native. Unfortunately, I have really weird picture of myself here, and I have really bad quality, unfortunately. So, but I pretty much cover the same that I just covered, and explain you the basics. So hopefully this stream will help more. And I had the video somewhere. Yeah, okay. This is the video, how it looks like. So the idea is when you drag this thing and you release that, then physics are applied and it just falls down when it falls from the surface level, and you have several, I think 10 at first level to put on this thing. Then you need to put like 20, 30, don't remember, yeah. And every time you like select an area and then you just play. Yeah, I watch a lot of surfing videos. Yeah, and thanks for being here on the streams. And next event will be yeah, so this is this event. This will be Hasura plus Gatsby user auth and roles. So just subscribe to this event, click on remind me, and it will be pretty soon. Now, if you will be at the GraphQL conf this week, I will be there at Hasura booth. So just come say hi. Let's chat about stuff. And if you want to do like pair coding, cool stuff on the streams, I'm totally game for that. So yeah. Cool. Thanks for watching. This is my website. This is my Twitter handle. Have any questions, any requests, or any projects that you're interested in, you can always reach me out on Twitter or on my website. And thanks for watching. Bye. There was a Twitter discussion why people always wave on like video conference calls. So I also wave on streams. So bye.